Hi everybody, Mature Simmer here. So we're back here in the hills of Tuscany. You can see level 8 of the VIP orders is our current position. I do try to make this a welcoming series, just like any series on the channel, to anybody who just happens to pick it up as we go. So if you're trying to figure out why it's called the VIP series, there's one reason for that. And that is this, the VIP orders. So there is a mod called VIP Order Manager, and this is that mod. I have made some changes to the mod to work with the way I'm doing the gameplay, so I show less levels. By default, it shows, I think, 3, maybe 4. So I've gotten it down to 2, and then I adjust the type of orders that will come up to try to avoid things that just really aren't workable or that would make it really unbearable in a series like this to go ahead. So, you know, for example, we're not selling potatoes directly or olives or grapes, but we can have the products that are created from them. And certainly we've also got the potato processing mod, and we're running the premium expansion or the platinum expansion, the one before the most recent thing in November, that basically added a lot of production types in. So that's why we see things like a table and a doghouse, for example, because we're running that mod as well. And basically we need to fulfill these orders, so think of it kind of as a quest system for Farming Simulator, and this gives the farm more of a reason for being and a reason for doing certain things. So the only thing we really have kind of moving at this point is lettuce, because we needed lettuce for the previous level, and so the greenhouses are continuing to run. But as I start up this morning, I need to figure out what I'm doing next. So the only crop I have is rye. That might make the most sense. So the other thing I will tend to do in this series is go ahead and kind of use some automation like horseplay, things like that, to get work done. So I'm going to start getting fields planted, and then I'm going to go ahead and start trying to figure out how to attack the other things. Specifically, the metal is the one I'm most worried about, because I think we need like an iron mine somewhere, but then I'm not even sure what you do with it. I've never worked with that. So that's part of the fun of what I'm doing here, is I'm kind of exploring, doing parts of the game I've not done before in the years that I've been playing Farming Simulator, and, you know, hopefully making it entertaining for you as I also try to make it entertaining for me. Well, the first thing I'm going to do, because I need this tractor to go ahead and plant things, is we'll put this triticale in our silo. That was a product we needed, and I think it's a product it's calling for next time too, so we'll have a head start of at least 12,000 liters. I think I've got more than that in, a little more than that at least, in the silo. But we needed that as well for one of the last couple levels. So I'm going to go ahead here, dump that in, and while we're doing that, we'll take a look. Tend to leave the trailer there. Again, if you're new, one of the things you may be wondering, why is all the equipment so small? Like, if he's got all these high demands, why doesn't he get bigger equipment? Well, that's based on the map, which was part of kind of the intentionality of picking this. So let's see. No, we don't have any triticale. We cleared it all. So we're only going to have the 12,000, but you can see we've got some product now. We have 1,400 of rye, which is really not going to help at all, if we're being honest. So I'm going to head up here, and I am going to get this thing, my planter, my seeder, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to plant every field with rye, because to get that quantity, I'm likely going to need pretty much every acre I have. So the first thing I need, as we can see, is I need to fill this up, because if I'm going to do that much planting, I'm certainly not going to want to run right back here, because I only have 200 liters of fertilizer. So I think the bins that are laying out here now are just lime. Obviously I'm going to make sure as I go by. Yes, I can see the little symbol on them. We'll zoom in so you can as well. But that is just lime, so that is not going to help anybody in this immediate need. So we'll open this up and we'll fill things up. So I don't know why I'm worried about which one, because in this case I need to fill both, but I am trying to position it a little differently. Why is it in the back? Where's the trigger? I still have yet to figure out the trigger points for these things. There we go. It's in the back. So, alright, but now, before I make a mistake, which I usually am pretty good, I think in this series I haven't done it. There we go. So now we have rye, which is a mod crop on this map. So I will make a comment here at this point, because again, if you're watching these as they come out, at this point, the map maker has put a new version of the map out there to take advantage of the expansion that has come out at the end of 2023, where Giants themselves introduced carrots, and I think were they parsnips? I don't remember. I think there were 2 root crops and then some other crop as well. And so to do that, they went ahead and stripped out the crops that they have added. So if you want this version of the map, you're going to need to find an older version somewhere. Then you can use meal and triticale and rye as this modified the map to create. Otherwise, if you download this Hills of Tuscany map now, you will not have those available to you. So here are 3 of the fields. So I am absolutely going to start up, and I'm going to get going on these. But it takes quite a few hours of work to do things at this point for the levels. So I'm going to do all of that planting and so forth off camera. And, you know, once it starts getting going, we will jump back here, because I need to start figuring out what's going on. So I'll see you in a bit. Alright, so I'm back here on the farm. I'm starting to plant the fields up there. So that is just going. Alright, so at this point, I need to create some things with iron ore. Do I want to spend all this money right away? I'll probably buy these 2. I'm hoping I can do what I need with this land here and not have to get into that, but I'm going to go ahead and pick those both up just to have it. Basically, what I am going to need to do is I'm going to have to place a mine shaft to get iron, and then I am going to have to place a furnace to turn out the metal. And that's going to take quite a bit of money. This is what I was worried about as we got into this, is I think I've got a few productions here, because I think I'm going to need something to make tables as well. But I own Field 105. I jumped over to the equipment I have here. Now I'm running over. So I had said that if I needed for productions, like this is where I'll expand. So this is the large piece that I don't own. We're heading over to the piece that I do own, but I want to get close enough. Still want to be close enough to the road that I can place it and not worry about it. I'm pretty sure here now I'm in my space. So let's go ahead and see if we can figure this out. So I'm down to 1.2 million euros. Again, I showed up on this map with 8, so this has been an expensive endeavor, that's for sure. And we're going to be spending another probably $500,000 of this now to get this operating. Alright, so this is the mine shaft. So what I want to do, that's the back end here. Alright, so that's where it's going to output things. Alright, so I've got this rotated around because basically I don't want to worry about the back. So that will work this way. So you can see 250,000 here. There we go. And then we need the iron furnace, which is going to take iron and turn it into something else. So let's see. So the question is, can I just do that? Because that would be the best. We're going to try it, and if it doesn't work, then we'll worry about it later. But that way I don't need to transport anything. So there is my conglomeration, and we are down to 785,000 euros now. So let's see what we've got here. So iron ore, 416 to make 380, and I need 13,000 liters. Alright, and the question is, I'm going to activate it. There we go. So we have materials missing, but you can hear it doing its thing. There we go. I'm hoping... Question is it picking it up? Because it's not perfect. But the mine is creating stuff. And again, like, the pile will get bigger, so hopefully that will work. Yeah, I guess we'll see. I'm just glad it's producing something, because I was like, do I need a map that has an iron deposit, or what? You see, it says material missing. Alright, so, not the greatest, but you can see, basically, it should, I assume, do I have to stay on it? Oh, come on, I can't possibly. Yeah, I don't understand why the conveyor doesn't stay running, so we'll see. But even if I do, I suppose, I mean, it's not the greatest thing, but it's still faster than coming over here trying to scoop it up and move it. But that does seem to work, as you saw. It's now creating metal. I mean, I don't see that it's, like, accumulating any, so I'm hoping that that means iron ore is falling into it. This could get bad, because my concern is it... Oh no, there is a pile now. It just takes a little while, so... I'm surprised it won't stay running. Because it's not like I have a thing where if I'm gone from it, it doesn't work. But if I have to appear every once in a while, I think that's okay. I mean, that may just be the best I can do, but... Use a conveyor belt and then dump it, and it seems to pick it up, so... Looks like we have a solution. It's interesting that it can't just fall into it, but I understand it. It needs some sort of a trigger and something to do. Alright, so that's getting us metal. And really, there's no reason to just not produce tons and tons of metal, because there's nothing else I can do with this. Rather than take up all this space, because if you look at how big this is, if I tried to put that on the land I have here, I don't know that I could easily. So rather than do that, I figured I'll put it in the back corner. I'm thinking eventually I'm going to need to expand anyway. And other than buying that land, it really didn't cost me anything. The only thing is I don't know. Like, yes, it looks like I did not need to buy that other piece. But in theory, I could sell that back. But I don't know that 64,000 euros is going to matter. The biggest challenge is that extra acreage going to somehow turn into that it wants me to do something else? Perhaps, and you know, and then the demands will go up for the VIP folks, but we'll worry about that later. Still planting the bigger field. We've got 2 little ones, then we've got 9, 11, 22, and then we go over to the large one, 77. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and get this off the field. I Not really a reason that I can't just leave it here. It is a little bit sloppy sometimes in the series, but there's just so much time to do things and so little time to actually get them done. So I think at this point, well, I know at this point, like, I'm going to have missed a week in this series because of the fact that I just could not get an episode together with all the demands in real life. So I'm hoping it's not going to turn into 2 weeks, which is why I'm in here trying to make something and get something done that I can share with you and go forward with. So this is what I need for tables. Oh, and that is interesting because it looks like I may need metal, but the metal may be needed for other things. So I guess it's good that I had a requirement of metal too. But let's see. Alright, the good news is building's not huge. So it's going to output there, and it's going to input there. So the real question is, how do I want to place it? I'll probably go ahead and take advantage of this fact here, and then I can just have the production in between. So this is as good as any. So now we've got the furniture factory. Well, let's take a look here. So Northwest Classy Furniture. Sounds impressive, but yes, it is metal. So to make an armoire, I need metal. Make a chair, I do not. Alright, so just if I need an armoire. So I can do long planks. So 80 long planks. Short planks. I'm assuming the long planks are going to be better, but I need 80 planks to make 100 tables. I need 18,000 tables. So if I figure that right, I need 14,400 long planks, or 14,400 liters of long planks. And to create long planks, I get 188 of them out of 208 liters of wood. Which basically means I need about 16,000 liters of wood. So I need to get that moving along, and then we can start working on tables. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Bring things over here. I probably have some long planks. No, actually, I have one that is storing 1 liter, so I need enough trees to handle that. So I'm going to go cut some trees down while I keep the tractor going. Because yes, he's nearly done here, so I am going to go refill him because you can see he's light on the fertilizer. And so this is the activity I'm going to be doing for a bit, is doing some logging, getting myself 16,000 liters, starting to create some long planks so that I can start to create some tables. We're creating some metal, and I am planting rye. So 3 of the 6 VIP needs are very quickly starting to result in some work. So, as I go over here, now that this is going to be full and complete, so there we go. So he's going to start filling that up. We're going to open that, close it, because otherwise it doesn't fill right. But this is exactly what I enjoy, frankly, about the VIP order manager. Is it becomes completely different than playing Farming Simulator the normal way, where you don't have requirements, where you're just kind of creating a need in the back of your head. And then again, it's, well, all right, yeah, I feel like, because I could have done the same thing. I'd be like, let's make some tables and sell those to the townsfolk, because, hey, we live in town and people need tables, and then they'll need chairs. So you can create that kind of requirement for yourself. I was going to say fake requirement, but I mean, at the end of the day, the VIP order manager, if we're being honest, is creating a fake requirement as well. So, I don't want to make it sound like somehow the VIP order manager is creating some magical real requirement. At the end of the day, we're in a sim, and you know what I mean. I'm getting way too literal in the description here. But, But this way, it's not just some random thing beyond, obviously the requirements are random that the game supplies, but it really creates it, as I said, like a quest system where it's like, well, what do you want me to do? And give me this random job, and now I need to go fulfill it. So I do enjoy that part of it because it gives purpose to what I'm doing and the work I choose to engage in here. So, the nice thing, 666,000 euros and change. So, about half of what we had. But like I said, I know there's dog houses down below, and that requires a different facility. I think there's a pet accessory facility. I'll just have to see if I can fit that on that same land when I get to the point that I need it. I'm not going to go invest in it now, because if I could make a little bit more money, what I don't want to get is too thin on the cash and just create a real cash flow problem. I was initially going to try to plant this field first. It worked out that Courseplay decided, hey, I'm going to give you a course on 7, and I'm like, you know what, I need to plant 7 anyway, let's just go with it. But, as you saw, it's already, a couple hours into the day. With the first one, the challenge is it's usually pretty hard to plant all these fields in one day. But I am going to do my best while I continue to try to get the logging done to get wood. So with that, I will see you in a bit. Alright, so once I get going there, alright, so then I need milk and butter. And obviously to do butter, I need a dairy. I have to verify. I don't think I own the dairy. But let's see if we have any milk. Alright, tiny bit of milk, but not much. And then I need to go ahead and get the cows going again. So I'm going to work on some of that, and we'll go from there. So I think that's going to be my main need, because there's no point in going ahead and doing anything with the butter or with the dairy and purchasing that and then incurring the daily production costs of that if I am not actually producing anything from it actively. So I'm not going to worry about the dairy right now, but we're going to go ahead and, like I said, I'm going to get focused on the cows, so I'm going to start working on some grass and some hay. Actually, I just need TMR. What am I talking about? I have plenty of that. So I do have the sawmill working. I took out a tree over here by the church, kind of like we did. So we're gonna basically lop these large oaks down between our land and the town. And I know people might not enjoy that or whatever, but again, the goal here is to get things accomplished, not necessarily kind of encourage a wonderful role-play storyline where we're at one with our neighbors and so forth. So I'm not saying I'm being a robber baron, but I'm certainly being a little less concerned about what people are looking for than I would normally be. So the question ends up being, do I have enough TMR to not have to go to my field on 105 and start to run some grass and all of that? And I am not sure if I do or not. So I think this tractor will be big enough to move things around, but at a minimum I need to grab this forage wagon and then get it in to that location. All right, I'm going to take a look at metal. All right, we're down to 74, so let me head over there. So yeah, we got a pile, but it looks like I'm going to need to get in to this thing each time, and now it's going to go ahead and consume that pile and move it in. But now I've had a pretty good pile because we've had quite a bit of time moving along here. And so the issue is just going to be to kind of keep things going. Alright, it looks like field 6 just got done. Oh, now it was operating. Do I need to be close enough? Not sure. But now we have 3,500 liters, where before we had 700. So we should be pretty good for a bit. You can see we've already got 702 liters of metal. So it's definitely producing pretty quickly. Now keep in mind we are running at 5 times speed, so that's partially part of it, because we're going to get through a day pretty quickly. But again, I think given that that's 24 cycles, that's going to mean that it's 24 times 380 is what I'll ultimately end up with, as long as I can keep it fully supplied and I don't miss the fact that at some point it runs out of ore. So just a little bit of craziness here as I keep trying to get this going, and this again becomes the challenge of, do I touch everything up? Do I not worry about it? That one must have had, oh, is that one, oh boy, I know what that means. Alright, so for that little field, I don't know that I'm worried about it, but I'm probably going to have a little bit less output. It didn't fertilize because the soil maps were outdated. So I've gone ahead and paid the engineering company to go ahead and do that. So you can see now I'm down, because I had to do this field, field 22, and the big field, field 77. So I'm down to under 650,000 euros now. It cost me about 16,000 in fees to get that soil information. So yeah, it's a bit of a challenge here. But I'm trying to get this one running. Go ahead and get TMR. We've got the other field going, and I don't have any other soil maps, but I can probably take that spreader and go run some fertilizer on that field. So if I remember, I'll go do that. That's the biggest challenge, is if I remember. Alright, so the challenge here, I don't have that much TMR, so I might need to get some more product running. So we got this heading out there, and I'm going to do this a little bit differently this time. I'm going to back in this way. But yeah, the problem is I think I need quite a bit of TMR to produce milk. But instead of trying to drive out of the back there, I'm going to just try to head in this way, and it should obviously then let me dump. And I think that will work well, because it's not tipping up, it's just tossing it out the back. And there we go. So we've got food, and I should be able to go ahead. You know, the problem is at this point, to be effective, they're going to have to run through about, you know, I think it's they do have to run that 10 hours or so. So it probably won't be till tonight that they're really being heavily productive. But at least we have them starting up again. And then the real question is going to start to become, do I run some milk over to a dairy and start producing butter, because they are both necessary together. So I need to get silage over to start making more TMR. So not really any other need for the silage. Again, I believe I have that turned off as something that the VIPs would be asking for, but obviously I will use it as necessary here for production. Looks like I had my question answered. Can I fill this? I cannot. So, you know, I'd need to basically cut grass and fill this up again to start doing some further production there. That will be for another episode, I think. This should get me going enough at this point that I can definitely make some progress, because once, you know, the real focus today is getting the rye. Everything else is a little bit of an extra bonus the way this sits. So we'll get this going, and now you can see no longer not running. We now have material, and we can go ahead and produce. But, you know, we can see we've got a greenhouse, a spinnery, a tailor's shop, a grain mill, olive mill, grape production, the stave silo, which is now empty, The potato processing, TMR, cereal factory, floor tiles, which we did a little while ago, the greenhouse that's sitting next to the chicken barn, the sawmill, and then we just added iron and furniture, but we do not own the dairy. So that's going to be something else. So that'll be another 80 to 100,000 euros that we'll be investing. In addition to that, that will then get us everything we need for level 8. We're then going to need something for the dog houses. I'm going to have to figure out organic compost, where that comes from. So that, I think, is a map addition as well. So let me go look here at my plant here. So I'm wondering if this is where I get that. I think this is where we get it. Oh goodness. But production of compost and fertilizers. So, yeah. Fun stuff. So 170,000 liters there. But I don't need that till later. So I think, although that is a lot of compost, so I'm going to go ahead and get this to see what we need to do. Okay, so I should be able to produce any of this kind of compost. So there you go. I can get compost from alfalfa. So I need alfalfa hay versus alfalfa straw. I can get it from wood chips. So let's see. I'm going to deactivate all of these at this point. Alright, but I can do it from grass, dry grass. I see, that's pomace of olives too. Interesting. And then that's grape pomace. Alright, so I've got this here too. So let me see. Sansa pomace. We're going to activate this. And we'll see how that all will work at this point. Alright, but we're creating a little bit, because at this point the wood chips are distributing, and hopefully shortly the pomace from olives will do that. So that was why I was saving those. Now the wood chips I was selling, so that's going to be a limited item, but at least, hey, if I could get that little bit while it's running now, that will help. But I'm not quite sure why these aren't connecting together, but right now they're not. But then I have this organic compost. Again, I need 243,000 liters of that, so that's a lot. I'm going to open this gate up, because I think that's the only way in here. And then, can I get... oh, okay. So I can pull out, so I'm going to do this as well. And that way I can kind of pull around as I need to, because I think that's where I then get the organic compost out, but this is where I drop off some product. Alright, so we got these 3 fields here. It's just, again, a matter of, do I want to plant some more here in the corners? And in theory, I really should. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then that should allow, you know, kind of at least the most. I'm not going to do every inch here, but if I can do a good portion of it, you know, that will help. I'm not quite sure why it's dropping more fertilizer, but if I can get these added on, it'll be a little bit extra rye here. And once again, as I do these, obviously we'll also be fertilizing the field, which is going to take a lot more. I didn't want to mistakenly go into this field, because that would be bad. So we've got that. But I'm going to get this taken care of. And at this point, I think you've got a good idea. Like, obviously you know what I am getting into. And I think we've got a good amount here to at least provide a good solid episode for the series. And so I am going to go ahead and wrap things up. And if nothing else, that assures that you've got something to view to see what is happening on the farm. And I will do my best to get further progress done here. The challenge, of course, will be, can I get it all done? But at least at this point, if I've got enough to give you something to look at, you're then going to have... I'm going to have 2 weeks to get to get things done realistically. So I'm going to be optimistic that that will be possible. So with that, I'm going to do my standard ends, which is, if you've enjoyed this, not dropped a like, please consider that. It helps with the YouTube algorithm and getting the channel content out to others. More folks we have, obviously the greater input we have. I'm getting actually a lot of feedback on my PGA Tour 2K23 stuff. So interestingly enough, that seems to be the stuff that's resonating with the most people, which is certainly not what I had expected of all the sims, but I suppose sports and so forth, things that do have, some short episodes that complete things, maybe that's what it is. I'm really not sure, or there's just more people that like PGA Tour 2K23 than like Farming Simulator. I don't know. But, other than that, like this content, I'll get comments here and there from a couple of the folks that are pretty dedicated to the channel, which I greatly appreciate. But the more folks we get, the more we'll have comments, and that will help make everything better, because as you may have seen from PGA Tour, I absolutely am making changes based on the comments I'm getting. And similarly, if people have input on the Farming Simulator side, that can result in the same type of thing. Because once again, I've talked about how long do I keep these VIP series going before we say, you know what, we're done with this area, we're going to move to the next spot. Right now I'm still having fun on it, and that's really the gauge I'm using right now, is if I feel I'm not stuck and I'm not making meaningful progress, then as I start to lose interest, that's a good sign for me to say, you know what, it's probably time to pivot, because I'm likely not going to be putting out anything that's terribly exciting to watch if what I'm doing is just tedium and a chore. But I'm certainly not feeling that here. It does take a long time, but I feel I'm being challenged and being asked to do a bunch of different things with especially the type of orders we've got in this level from the VIPs. So with all that said, that's why likes are important, because it gets these videos out in front of others who then hopefully will like them and eventually subscribe, which is the second ask. If you have not subscribed, please consider doing that as well. It doesn't inundate you, you're not going to get spammed, you're not going to do anything like that. It just makes the channel more visible when you're in YouTube, so that then you can come in and find content quickly as I put it out there. But with that, I'm going to keep going along, and I will see you next time.